Hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I'm going over my February TBR list. You know what? It may be cliche to just be reading a lot of romances in February, but the thing is, I just want to read a bunch of romances in February. That's like the mood I'm in. January was a very fantasy, sci-fi driven month, and it killed me a bit, so I just want to read like smutty romances. That's what I want, that's what I need in my soul. So I've picked a bunch of them. Let's get into it. First, I have The Girl with the Make-Believe Husband by Julia Quinn. So, Julia Quinn, I have some beef with. Not necessarily beef, but I read one of her books and I hated it. And I was like, ugh, I don't think Julia Quinn's for me. But I keep getting told by all of my lovely subscribers to read something else by Julia Quinn. So I'm going to read this one because I own it. And it kind of seems like fun, like a rom-com, so I'm gonna try it out. Maybe I just read the one bad apple of her bunch, and this one will be good. I don't know, I'm giving her a second chance. This is about a woman named Cecilia, and her brother is off fighting in a war in America. I'm assuming War of 1812 by the outfit she's wearing. Doesn't say on the back cover, but some war he's off fighting in America. And she has some problems because her brother gets injured. And so she has to do one of two things. One, she has to become a spinster and move in with their spinster aunt, or marry a cousin who is scheming. And I'm like, you shouldn't marry your cousins. So neither of those are good ideas. So she's like, option 3, motherfuckers. She goes to America. She's like, I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna nurse him back to health. He'll fix this. We got this. She gets to America. Problem is, she can't find her brother. But she does find her brother's best friend, who is also injured, has amnesia, needs nursing back to health. So she tells everybody, I'm his wife. So she gets there and is nursing this guy back to health, and she's like, oh, I'm your wife. I'm your wife. I'm your wife. You don't remember because you have amnesia and you can't remember 3 months, but I'm your wife. And he's just like I know who you are because like you're my friend's sister, and I don't remember marrying you, but I guess we're married now. And they just kind of go with it. So it's quite the lie to start a relationship on. But I hope zany rom-com things ensue. So I have my fingers crossed that this is going to be more fun than the other Julia Quinn book I read, because I really, really disliked this one. So this is my second chance with Julia Quinn. I'm thinking, if this one doesn't do it, like if I find it equally as dull and bad as the other book I read, I'm thinking Julia Quinn might not be for me. But this is her second chance at redemption, so fingers crossed. The time has come. I am going to read a Lyssa Kleypas novel, in particular, Coldhearted Rake. This is part of the Ravenel series, and I'm reading it because it's book 1 of the Ravenel series, and I happen to have it. So that's why I'm starting there. And there's a smutty tab. Let's see what it reveals. Okay, not so smutty, but it's suggestive. Like, both of them have, like, bodices that are coming off, so there's that. So this one's about Devon and Kathleen. Devon, of course, is a charming rake. And, he just inherited an earldom. So he gets to the house he just inherited, and he has all these responsibilities that his rakish ways aren't happy with, and then he's just like, wait, there's a bunch of ladies living here. So there's this lady named Kathleen who is a widow, and she's just like, I know what you're about, and I'm not fucking with it. I mean, spoiler alert, she's probably going to fuck with it later, but let's get to that when we get to that. I'm assuming he moves into this house and he has to deal with all these ladies, and he's just being a rake and being like obstinate and goofy, and she's just like not having it, and then eventually she'll have it. It's like a plot we've seen before, but it usually works for a reason, and everyone always tells me I'm going to like Lyssa Kleypas, so it's happening. You guys, it's happening. I'm going to read Lyssa Kleypas finally. It's going to happen this month. So I picked this one because I own it, and it's the start of a series. Also on deck for February is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. And this is kind of a romance set in a Ren fair. It's about this woman, Emily. She comes to this small town for the summer. She's going to help her sister. And one thing leads to another. She gets roped into volunteering for the local Renaissance fair. And this local Ren fair is kind of owned by Simon, and it's his family legacy. I guess his family started this Ren fair, and he's real serious about it. And she's kind of laissez-faire about it, so they're going to butt heads a bit. But they're also gonna bump other things a bit because it's a rom-com, so they're gonna do it probably. But it's a Ren Fair set romance. There's going to be like lots of Shakespearean jokes, I'm assuming, and Ren Fair jokes, and also, you know, kind of like an enemies to lovers type of relationship. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about this. There's gonna be like, you know, Renaissance jokes and rom-com zaniness. I feel like it kind of goes together. There's a lot of rich, fertile ground for jokes that I'm excited about. So I'm feeling good about it. I'm very excited to read this one finally. It's surprising I haven't read it yet. Also on deck for February is Lover or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. I am so excited for this one. Oh my goodness gracious. I couldn't wait to read it. I have to read it now. This is the sequel to Fix Her Up, which was one of my favorite books of 2019. And I hope this one keeps the tradition going where it's going to be one of my favorite books of 2020, because this is about some characters we were introduced to in the first book. This is about Rosie and Dom. We met them before and they were kind of high school sweethearts who got married, and now down the road, about 10 years later, their marriage is just falling apart, and it's about them trying to, like, you know, go to relationship therapy and try to get their relationship back in order because they're willing to fight for it. I guess, you know, love her or lose her, as the title suggests. And it's about a married couple trying to save their marriage, which is interesting because you don't see that a lot in romances. So I am fascinated by it. I liked the characters from the first book already. I am super into finding out more about the relationship because it's always hinted at in book one, and I want to see what is actually going on, so I can't wait to read this. I mean, I'm assuming it's going to have all those, like, funny bits and smutty bits that I've come to know Tessa Bailey to have, and I'm, like, just looking forward to it so hard. I just want laughs and smut. That's all I want, and I hope this gives it to me. Also on deck is Polaris Rising by Jessie Mihalik. This one is a sci-fi adventure. It's about a runaway princess. Well, princess. I'm using the term loosely. She is basically, her dad's gonna marry her off to some noble she doesn't want or love, and instead of doing that, she's like, fuck y'all, bye! And she gets a spaceship and, like, zooms off into space and disappears for a few years. And then she gets caught. Oh no, her family found her. They throw her in jail. She's with this guy in prison who is, like, you know, a Han Solo type. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. Then the prison's getting attacked by one of the rival houses. Like, her family is a house, and then there's other families, and they have rivals, and if they get attacked, she's gonna be a political prisoner. So she's like, hey, Han Solo type, help me escape this prison, and I'll give you a bunch of money. And he's like, all right. And then I'm assuming sexy results. And you know what? It seems like an exciting, like, space romp that I've been wanting. I want exciting space stories. I don't want them to be, like, moody and boring and people just pushing buttons all day, because that's the boring kind of sci-fi. I want active space adventures. So this one seems fun. It's got a Han Solo type, a runaway princess. I am, like, getting Han and Leia vibes from it. I am loving it right now. So I'm very excited to read this. I've heard fantastic things about it, and I just want to read it so bad. So I'm happy it's happening in February. Also on deck in February is the Bromance book club by Lyssa K. Adams. It's about this baseball player guy and his wife basically wants a divorce because, lo and behold, turns out their whole relationship, she has faked every orgasm she has ever had. And he's like, oh no. And hence the Bromance book club. Apparently a bunch of other guys in the team have started a book club where they read trashy romances to try to understand the women in their lives better. And so he joins the book club. He's reading this Bodice Ripper book, you know, to learn a few tricks of the trade, so to speak, and hopefully save his marriage. And every bit about that premise sounds fantastic. I love it. I am in love with the premise. I love it. I am in love with it. So I have been wanting to read this so bad. I am hoping it gives me all of the zany rom-com laughs I am expecting and all of the smutty delights. And it's going to be like an interesting kind of smutty delight because he has to figure out how to have things work for her rather than, you know, in most, like, romances, you know, you're not reading about mediocre sex, you're reading about it being fantastic, because what's the point about reading about sex you can have in real life? So this one is going to be more like, oh, I have to figure out how to get it to, like, the romance novel level of sex. So I think that's going to be fascinating, and I've just been wanting to read it so bad. So it's going to happen in February. Also on deck is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. And I actually got a hardcover edition from this from Book of the Month Club, which I am an affiliate for. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. My affiliate link is in the description down below. If you ever want to try out Book of the Month Club and you use my link, I do get a small commission. So hey, if you're ever interested, my link is down there. So this one is about Chloe Brown. She is a woman who has a chronic disease or chronic health problems, and she almost, but not completely, obviously died. So she has written up a list of 7 things to help her, quote, get a life. She's looking to rebel and do a bunch of crazy stuff. And she's like, oh, I need someone who's good at rebelling to like show me how to do things, because I can write things down all day and be a nerd about it, but I need someone who actually knows how to do it in real life. In comes Red. He is a motorcycle riding, tattooed handyman and a painter, and I'm like, oh my gosh. He has been created to be all of like the romance heroes in the world. Like the bad boy extraordinaire. And she's like, hey, you got the stuff I want. Show me how to do these rebellious things. And it's kind of about their relationship, and like he's like a little hesitant about it, and like she wants to rebel. So it's gonna be like the bad boy and the nerd getting together, and I'm like into it. Also, I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, so I've been wanting to read this really, really bad, and finally I have it. Oh my gosh, it's in my grasp. I can just read it now. I'm so excited to read this, you don't even know. Last on my list is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Mind you, this isn't a romance. However, it's a book I've been wanting to read for a long time. And since everything else is a romance, I gotta put in one that's not just for palate cleansing purposes. I'll just read you the blurb because it's so short. Under the influence of their charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from their humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, they slip gradually from obsession to corruption and betrayal, and at last inexorably into evil. Dun dun dun. I have heard this book referred to as a modern classic, a modern masterpiece, so I have heard literally incredible things about it, that it's a literal masterpiece. So I've been wanting to read this, and luckily I got it from Book of the Month Club. Again, link is in the description down below. But, oh, I've been wanting to read this, and I've heard nothing but great things. It's kind of about dark academia and secret societies and betrayal and murder and evil, and I want it. All my friends have read this and loved it, so I feel like I need to read it, and I've been wanting to, and luckily I got it from Book of the Month Club, and oh, I just want to read it so bad. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in February. It's just happening then. That was my February TBR list. I put considerably fewer books on it, mainly because I have been having a hard time reading a lot of books lately. I've just been reading slumpy, and I didn't want to like pressure myself with like a whole long ass list of books and then feel bad for not getting to them. So I made it a much more manageable reading list, I think, for February. So fingers crossed I'm gonna get through all of them. Let me know in a comment down below, what kind of smutty romances are you in the mood for right now? Because I just want to read smutty romances. Let me know in a comment down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!